Students, I just quickly revise with you again, just a brief understanding of what is a coalition government. I'm sure all of you have learned this from me in the first chapter itself when we studied about various forms of power sharing. Okay, उसमें मैंने एक बात बोली थी आपको, there is something called as coalition government and there is something called as alliance. ठीक है, so again giving priority to this concept again, please be concentrated and note this. सबसे पहले आती है the first thing that we have is a coalition government. Okay, and number second is the alliance partners. What is the meaning of coalition government and what is the meaning of alliance? Okay, just pay attention to this concept very well. Alliance का मतलब है friendly, or in clear terms it is also called as mutually coming together. ठीक है, mutually coming together. It's a simple meaning of alliance. When we say there is a political alliance, what does this mean? When two or more parties have come together, minimum two parties have come together for a common objective, for a common goal, and a common perspective to be achieved, for a common target to be achieved, and all are trying to mutually come together, they form their own partnership, and this partnership is called as alliance. Clear, everybody? This partnership is called as alliance. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of coalition government? Whenever one single party fails to form or gain majority of seats, then that single party will take help of the alliance partners and they will form a government. Please pay attention over here. Alliance is always with parties. When two or more parties come together for a partnership called as an alliance. Coalition is always with government. When such political parties come together and they form a government, whether the government is at the central or at the state, that is called as coalition governments. Even today in 2020, Maharashtra, there is a coalition government of Shiva Sena, National Congress Party, to be specifically known as Rashtrabadi Congress, and Congress. Clear? All these three parties have come together and they have formed their own government called as coalition government. This is called as coalition government. Okay, so alliance is always with parties coming together, whether they form a government or no, absolutely not compulsory. But coalition is the formation of government with the help of alliance partners. Clear, everybody? That's it. Now, coming back to the next concept. The next concept is about what? It is about the state pleads for more power, perils of running a coalition government. Now, you have over here two pictures. Two pictures are being shown, okay? And these two pictures have a different story to tell. In the examination, there is a question which comes. For on an average 3 marks or 5 marks, wherein this question will be typically called as picture representation. A picture will be given to you and from that you have to give your own observations. So simple si baat hai, there is a picture given and what are exactly the observations, whether the observations of yours are related to any political parties, democratic systems, or power sharing, or federalistic views, or even democratic future problems that democracy even faces. Such pictures depict what is the question which comes in the paper. It's a very simple question. Observe the figure and write it. In schools we have done this as children, as kids. a picture reading, there is to be a question. This is not picture reading, this is exactly not picture reading, but like a picture reading. This picture will represent something in explanatory format, something in descriptive format, and on that basis, you have to write down a paragraph, whether it will be for 3 marks or 5 marks, depending upon the paper setup. Clear? So the first picture over here is what? The first picture depicts, to be very clear, is about these two people who are acting as central government. Then this person, second, third, fourth, these are all acting as state governments. And this is a pot, this is a simple pot, which represents, the power, the powers, or you can say the rights, which are being filled up in this pot, which are completely for the states of India. Now, end of the day, even if we have studied earlier that the central government does not control state government in any affairs, but end of the day, the hold of all the governments of the states are with the center. Okay? All the governments are indirectly accountable to the central government, and that is why central government is trying to unduly utilize their superiority or monopoly to gain control over varied state governments. Clear, everybody? This is called as the states plead for more power. So every time there is any issue from the state government, from the central government, state governments have to plead every time to the central governments in order to get something better and more possible options for the benefit and the rights of the citizens of that specific state. Okay. The next picture represents what? The first picture is this. The next picture represents perils of running a coalition government. Please guys, please understand this thing very well. What is the meaning of perils? Perils का मतलब है disadvantages. Disadvantage or the wrongs, or to be very clear, it can also be the problems. Of running a coalition government. Again, we have studied what is the meaning of coalition government in detail. Please understand. Whenever there is a coalition government, it is obvious that many parties have come together and they have formed one coalition government. India, there are two coalition governments which are uniformly being recognized. Number one is UPA. We have studied this, called as United Progressive Alliance, which is led by Congress and its alliance partners. And number second is NDA, called as National Democratic Alliance, led by BJP and its alliance partners. ठीक है? तो इनमें प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है? Of course, whenever there is a coalition government, there is not just one party, but there are multiple parties who have come together. And whenever there are multiple parties who come together and form a government, it is obvious that the government is never going to be on the same page, because there are going to be people from various parties coming together for the government purpose and for the post and position. So obviously they will have their own opportunities, they will have their own rights, they will have their own egos as well. And depending upon this, there is going to be a coalition government. So coalition government चलाने में problem और दिक्कत ये आती है कि the government as one whole unity or as a one whole entity has to look for everybody's egos, everybody's problems. Every person from every party demands something or the other. तो सबके अपॉर्चुनिटीज, सबके ईगोज, सबके एस्पिरेशन सेटल करने के लिए इट बिकम्स डिफिकल्ट, एंड दैट इज व्हाट इज अ प्रॉब्लम. जैसे महाराष्ट्र में हुआ, उद्धव ठाकरे, द करंट सीएम ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, वांटेड टू बी द सीएम. Of course, they did not have the support initially, but then Rashtrapadhi Congress, that is NCP and Congress, had to ask for ठीक है, हम आपको CM position ऑफर करते हैं, you offer us these seats and positions, आप लोग इसमें थोड़ा सेटलमेंट करो, हम लोग ये थोड़ा सेटल करेंगे. So this constant settling of avenues and options here and there is what is a problem in running coalition government. लेकिन जैसे अभी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में है, BJP is a single party which is heading the central government. Why? Because BJP attained majority in 2014 as well as in 2019. So obviously, जहाँ पे BJP ने दोनों two consecutive elections में they had majority, they had no option. Rather, they were not in a position, or you can even say BJP did not require, in simple terms, BJP did not require any support of its political parties, but as a single party they could form their own government because unko kya mili thi, they had got their own majority. Here everybody, and that is why it is ideally good enough, it is ideally wise enough that one party is elected in complete majority so that there will be uniform rules, regulations, policies, and laws to be made. Did you understand this, everyone? This is called as perils of running a coalition. Okay, now read the following excerpt from an article by noted historian Ramchandra Guha that appeared in the Times of India, November 2006. Okay, so you can read this, what can happen or what are the options given, what are the avenues of great economists, you can say, great people who have been great historians or politicians or who have studied historical politics in general, and what are their views regarding the government formations. You can read this in later stages. Okay, now decentralization in India. Now, what is the meaning of decentralization or in India? We noted above that federal governments have two or more tiers of governments. We have so far discussed the two tiers of government in our country, but a vast country like India runs in a three-tier governmental formation as well. Okay, we have local panchayats, we have gram panchayats, we have zilla parishads, everybody. In terms of population, Uttar Pradesh is bigger than Russia. In terms of population, Uttar Pradesh is bigger than Russia. Maharashtra is about as big as Germany. Many of these states are internally very diverse. Thus, there is a need for power sharing within these states as well. Okay, so I would like to share something with you all over here. What exactly is decentralization in India and how exactly can things take place? Okay, now we have so far discussed the two tiers of government. Okay, but a vast country like India cannot be run only with these two tiers. Now, students, we have studied this yesterday, rather than the previous first part of this lecture of the video. Is in India there is no two-tier system of government, but there is a three-tier system of government. Okay, wherein the central government, the state government, and the local self-governments, or rather you would say local governments, which includes Zilla Parishad, municipalities, and everybody, run in accordance. So India is a country best blessed with, or we need to have a three-tier system of government, because if you compare, our vastness is this big. Please understand. Okay, please understand. Maharashtra has a population or is equal to that of Mexico. Madhya Pradesh is equal to that of France. Uttar Pradesh is equal to that of Brazil. Rajasthan is equal to that of United Kingdoms. And Gujarat is equal to that of South Africa. Similarly, Tamil Nadu is equal to that of Germany, Kerala, Karnataka equal to that of Karnataka, Italy. Similarly, Tamil Nadu equal to Turkey, Andhra equal to Germany, Orissa equal to Spain. So this is how things become difficult. We are such a huge country that 9 to 10, on an average 10 to 12 major countries of the world come and form a part of India itself. इतना बड़ा तो हमारा देश है. So we do require what is called as decentralization. This is rational for decentralization of power. This resulted a three-tier government. और इसी की बदौलत इतनी बड़ी country है, इसी की बदौलत हमें rational होके we needed something called as decentralization. The more the governments, better it is for the policies, laws, rules, and regulations to be formulated from top to bottom, from bottom to some other local governments as well. Here, everybody. There is one thing which you have to underline. Federal power sharing in India needs another tier of government below that of states. This is rational for decentralization of power. This resulted in a three-tier government called local governments. Okay. When power is taken away from central and state governments and given to local governments, it is called decentralization. Simple word, simple meaning of decentralization. Okay. एक ऑफिस होता है in a company. Let's say in a company there is one chairman. चेयरमैन के नीचे आते हैं CEO ऑफ द कंपनी, इनके नीचे आते हैं बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स ऑफ द कंपनी, इनके नीचे आते हैं मैनेजर्स ऑफ द कंपनी, एंड देन देयर इज क्लरिकल स्टाफ. Clear, everybody? So whatever chairman does, he passes on to the CEO. From CEO it gets passed on to the board of directors. From board of directors it gets passed on to the managers and then to the clerical staff. This is called as decentralization. धीरे it passes on from one person to the other, so that every law, every rule, every right reaches even the person in the lowest or person in the most remote areas of India as well. This is called as decentralization, and generally decentralization is a word which is associated with the word called as power. You get this thing, everyone. Yes. People have better knowledge of problems in their localities. They also have better ideas on where to spend money and how to manage things more efficiently. Besides, at the local level, it is possible for the people to directly participate in decision making. This helps to inculcate a habit of democratic participation. Local government is the best way to realize one important principle of democracy, namely local self government. The need for decentralization was recognized in our constitution. Constitution did give away, and that's why this constitution made a simple understanding that every problem of India will be adhered not by some one government, but it will be adhered by various lists which are made by the constitution. For the union problems, there is a union list. For the states, there is a state list. And then there is also something called as concurrent list, problems which are not handled or grievances or issues which are not met by central or the state governments under the state list and union list are met by the concurrent list, which is miscellaneous for everybody, each and here everybody. Since there have been several attempts to decentralize power to the level of villages and towns, panchayats and villages and municipalities in urban areas were set up in all states, but these were directly under the control of state governments. A major step towards decentralization was taken in 92. Okay, please note objective-based question. Major step was taken in 92. The constitution was amended to make the third tier of democracy more powerful and effective. Simple. Constitution ने क्या किया? Third tier जो है, that is the last form of democracy, that is local governments. Constitution made it more powerful. Why? Because every time the central government which is sitting in Delhi, it's not possible for them to reach the remote or the villages of each and every corner of India. So Constitution ने क्या किया? हर एक corner, हर एक village के लिए छोटा-छोटा government बना दिया. This was called as third tier, and this was given more power, rights and duties in their own sense. Now, it is constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections of local governments as well. जैसे हमारे state government के elections होते हैं, वैसे ही इसके भी होने चाहिए. Number one, okay. Number one. Number second, seats are reserved in the elected bodies and the executive heads of these institutions for scheduled castes, okay, scheduled tribes and other backward classes. Other backward classes are called as OBCs, or this is also called as simple backward classes. At least one third, okay. At least one third of all positions are reserved for women. Maharashtra is a state जहाँ पे local governments में women have been given 50% reservation. ये हमने पहले भी देखा. An independent institution called the State Election Commission has been created in each state to conduct panchayat and municipal elections. Okay. Now, the state governments are required to share some powers and revenue with local government bodies. The nature of sharing varies from state to state. Local governments is popularly known by the name Panchayati Raj. Local governments are popularly known by Panchayati Raj. Each village or group of villages in some states has a Gram Panchayat. This is a council consisting of several ward members, often called Pancha, and a president or Sarpanch. Clear, everybody? Yes. So Sarpanch is nothing but he is called as in simple terms you call him as a village head. In simple terms you call him as village head. They are directly elected by all the adult population living in that ward. What is a ward? Ward is a locality. It is a decision-making body for the entire village. The panchayat works under the overall supervision of the Gram Sabha. Panchayat इनके अंडर काम करते overall supervision of the Gram Sabha. All the voters in the village are its members. It has to meet at least twice or thrice in a year to approve the annual budget of the Gram Panchayat and review the performance of the Gram Panchayat. कौन meet करता है? हर एक मतलब at least once or twice or thrice in a year. The local bodies which are there, they meet at least twice or thrice in a year for what? For the annual budget. Is that clear, everybody? The local government structure goes right up to the district level. A few Gram Panchayats are grouped together to form what is usually called a Panchayat Samiti or block or a mandal. Underline this. A few Gram Panchayats are grouped together to form what is usually called a Panchayat Samiti or a block or mandal. The members of this representative body are elected by all the panchayat members in that area. All the panchayat samitis or mandals in a district together constitute the zilla. Together constitute the zilla parishad. Most members of the zilla parishad are elected. Members of Lok Sabha and MLAs of that district and some other officials are also its members. Zilla parishad chairperson is the political head of the zilla parishad. So what did we understand over here? Two, three main things. There is one thing called as Gram Panchayat. There is one thing called as Zilla Parishad. Okay. Gram Panchayat obviously is being headed by the Sarpanch, or to be very specific called as the President. ये कितने टाइम मिलते हैं साल में 2 से 3 बार एनुअल बजट साइन करके लेते हैं एंड दे गेट फंड्स फ्रॉम द हायर गवर्नमेंट, दैट इज द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स एंड द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट्स फॉर व्हाट पर्पस? फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ मेंटेनेंस एंड जनरल मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द विलेजेस. उसके लिए क्या लगता है? इनको फंड चाहिए, सो इसलिए साल में 2-3 बार तो ये कंपल्सरीली मिलती है. Clear everybody? Okay. Now, of course, similarly, local bodies, government bodies exist for urban areas. और हाँ, ये दो जो bodies है, ग्राम परिषद, जिला परिषद, they extend for rural and semi-rural areas. They extend for rural and semi-rural areas. Similarly, अपने city के लिए भी, for a city also there is a government. That government is called as municipal corporations. जैसे हमारे खुद के पुणे का there is a municipal corporation called as PMC. Pune Municipal Corporation. Both municipalities and corporations are controlled by elected bodies consisting of people's representatives. The head of corporation is called as the mayor. Clear everybody? Yes. Now there is one question. We will refer to that as well. Prime Minister runs the country. Chief Minister runs the state. Logically, then the chairperson of Zilla Parishad should run the district. Why does the DM or collector administer the district? Okay, there is one thing. Okay. Now, for every district, as there are varied districts are being controlled. No doubt, districts are being controlled by the Zilla Parishad chairman. Agree. But end of the day, to administer छोटे districts बहुत हैं, and to administer them or to have a control over them, IAS officers, collectors, okay, or IPS officers for security reason are being controlling these districts, so that the pressure on the chairperson of the Zilla Parishad or the chairman of the Zilla Parishad is reduced. Clear everyone? Yes, let's go further now, my dear students. Okay. For every village and everything, there are various things being formed. 1992 में democracy for sale in Tamil Nadu, highest bidders for panchayat post, politics also takes place. States oppose direct funding of panchayats. और हाँ, ये जो question है ना, why DM or collector administer the district? The simple reason is districts में there are lot many problems also which takes place. Like varied districts contribute to varied problems. और varied problems में होता क्या है? The essence of democracy is lost. There is a lot of corruption as well, and that's why to control them, there are IAS and collectors officers sitting over there to control these chairpersons and manage the entire districts in a justifiable manner. Okay. Next one. This new system of local government is the largest experiment in democracy conducted anywhere in the world, which was conducted in Brazil. Okay, an experiment in Brazil में क्या किया गया? A city called Porto Alegre in Brazil has carried an extraordinary experiment in combining decentralization with participative democracy. City has set up parallel organization operating alongside the municipal council, enabling local inhabitants to take real decisions for their city. जो local लोग हैं, जैसे हमारे यहाँ पे हम लोग उनको नगर सेवक करके बोलते हैं, नगर सेवक. वैसे ही those नगर सेवक are called as local representatives. सिंपल, सिंहगढ़ रोड आनंदनगर एरिया का जो नगर सेवक है, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है, हेड है, he will know the local problems well, yes or no, more than what even the CM of Maharashtra or the Prime Minister of the country will know, yes or no? Simple. The nearly 13 lakh people in this city get to participate in making the budget of their city. The city is divided into many sectors or what we call as wards, right? Each sector has a meeting like that of the Gram Sabha, in which anyone living in that area can participate. There are some meetings to discuss issues that affect the entire city. Any citizen of the city can participate and propose for the final decision. About 20,000 people participate in this decision, and that's why it has been successful, because it is direct people's participation. It is direct people's participation, or to be very specific, it is called as DP square. DT square. Dear everybody, yes. Now, in the same format, it is also very important to understand what. It is also very important to understand what. Whenever there is direct people's participation, there is always importance being given for democracy. Wherever there is direct people's participation, there is an importance being given for democracy. ठीक है? उसमें होता क्या है? Now, why does this direct people's participation has been so successful? Every ward, every sector has their own problems. और अगर उसी सेक्टर के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स अगर आते हैं, if the people from this sector come together and share their problems, of course it will be important, it will be successful for the local bodies to understand the problem of that area as well. तो हर एक वार्ड के लिए, every ward they have a local governmental body. So every ward's problems are understood and gathered by that local body, and every ward is being represented by the people only, that is the citizens of the nation of that particular area, and they address their own problems. So this is where decentralization is easy. So Prime Minister doesn't even have to interfere. Neither the State Minister will have to interfere. The local bodies understand their problems, they solve their problems on their own, and then it's happening. This is called as the best experiment being conducted in Brazil. Next one. There are now 36 lakh elected representatives in the panchayats and municipalities all over the country. This number is bigger than the population of many countries in the world. Constitutional status for local government has helped to deepen democracy in our country. It has also increased women's representation and voice in our democracy. Women's representation has increased. Okay, there was a basic nearly 35% participation women को दिया जाए in the governmental bodies. Maharashtra state में that has gone up to 50%. While elections are held regularly and enthusiastically, Gram Sabhas are not held regularly. Most state governments have not transferred significant powers to the local governments, nor they have given adequate resources. We are thus a still long way from realizing the ideal self-government. Clear everybody? So this is what is the topic of governments of federalism, which means democracy or a government elected by the representatives on the basis of states, nation, and local bodies as well. Clear everybody? Please make sure you watch this carefully, listen to the video, and please put in your valuable comments. Thank you so much everyone. Next part, we will discuss about some of the activity-based questions which are given, but that will be in the prolonging sessions. Thank you so much.